Chapter 12 Hours. Why can you not help me? She scowls at me. You know I don't deal with dark magic anymore. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. So stop asking me. I snarled. You know her secrets. You know every loophole there is. How can you refuse me? Refuse Iris. She hobbles her frail body to a chair. She is my mother. She is smart. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. There can be no loophole. She would know that if there is, I would figure it out. I curled my hands in a fist. Then at least find a way to ensure Iris's safety. I need her to be alive in order to break my curse. Caro shook her head. She's linked to the curse. I cannot help you. No one can. You need to let it go. No, I stood up from my chair. I will get someone who will help me. And then I stomped out of the cottage, shifted into my wolf and ran to my next destination, Iris. You're doing it wrong, complained Donnie. I'm blind, I exclaimed as I tried to hold the arrow up. I stretched my arm back and I let go. Shit, I heard Donnie shout as he thumped onto the floor. That could have been my head. He yelled at me. I am blind. And besides, you should have told me where to point. I yelled back. I giggled when I heard him muttering under his breath as he got the arrow and came back to me. How am I supposed to know where to point? I argued. Sound. You have been relying on your senses for years now. Try to focus on your hearing. Hear where you're targeted. I rolled my eyes. How am I supposed to hear a target board? Donnie. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I know, Donnie said excitedly. Wait here. I hear him run off and about 10 minutes later he came back. He put his hands on my shoulders and slightly positioned me. Okay, now do your form. I grabbed the arrow and pulled back my arm. Okay now. Listen, he instructed me. Hey Donnie, I don't think this is a good idea. I heard SOZ yell anxiously from a distance. Donnie chuckled. You're bloody immortal. It's the best idea. Now shut up and try to be quiet. I was amused at their bickering. Okay. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. SOZ is going to walk around the grass. Now all you need to do is listen and try to shoot where you think he is. I nodded my head. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath as I listened. At first I heard nothing, but then I concentrated harder and harder. I could hear the crunching of grass and slight thumping noise. A heartbeat. Got ya. I took another deep breath, and as I exhaled, I let go of the bow and let the arrow fly. I waited for any indication that I got in. I heard nothing. I was disappointed until I heard a very feminine scream and then a very manly voice. Bloody hell, Iris. I laughed. I didn't know you could scream like that, SOZ. Very funny. I heard him run near us. Did I actually get you? I asked. No. You just skimmed through my flesh. I was disappointed, but nonetheless happy. At least I almost got him. I gave him a high five before he congratulated me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We'll make a badass out of you in no time. Yeah, but right now, it's shower time for me. I am sweaty and sticky. Donnie helped me get back to my room. I prepared for a shower. I got all of my things and laid my clothes on the bed. Well, you're quite a pretty little thing, aren't you? I heard someone say. I gasped and turned around to face the sound. Who are you? What are you doing here? How rude of me. My name is DMOA. I am sure you've heard of me. I haven't, I said bluntly. Am I supposed to? I believe I specialize in curses. Ring any bells? My eyes widened and my heart stopped. You're the witch. The one who cursed ours. Dingo. I hear her walk around and assume sit on one of the chairs near the balcony. So, are you miserable without your mate? I gulped. Why do you want to know? I asked defensively. Well, I have known him for quite a while. I just want to get to know you now. I gulped. I'm just here to break the curse. Nothing more. Now could you please leave? I want to take a shower. I hear her humorless laugh before she mumbles under her breath. Well, that's the understatement of the century. She sat where she was, not indicating in any way that she was going to leave. My brows creased. He doesn't care for me and I don't care for him. I will help him break the curse and from then on, I guess we separate. Now please leave. DM or A? Oh no. DM or A disagreed. Though my little Oz lacks emotion, he's fiercely protective of what is his. I sighed, frustrated. I shook my head. I am not his. He has made that perfectly clear. I am a key to him. Now can we just leave it at that? DM or A didn't say anything. She just sat there. I felt her eyes on me, studying me. Well, if she isn't going to leave, might as well try and get some info. So are you as evil as they say you are? What do you think? She asks as if trying to learn me. I sat on my bed facing where her voice is coming from. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. I may not be a good witch, but I wouldn't call myself evil either. But you cursed 3 innocent little boys. As only picked one rose and you damned them for eternity until he finds a mate. I hear her release a long sigh, almost like she is thinking about what she had actually done. I wonder if she had ever processed it with anybody. Yes, well, I am very protective of my gardens. They shouldn't take what isn't theirs. My mind could not comprehend why she would give such a severe punishment for the picking of a single rose. So if I fall in love with ours, the curse will be broken. She laughs. That's how the story goes. But no, that is not the only thing. How do you break it then? There is a ritual to be done, but also a question to be answered. She explains. I stood up. What question? I hear her stand and quietly giggle to herself. Now wouldn't you like to know? And then the clicking of her heels slowly go away and out the door R's. I laid on the ground next to the fire I had built. I didn't know why I built one. My eyes can see in the dark and I don't get cold. But I guess there is something about a fire that calms me a bit. Its warm light softens my guarded front. I took the locket out of my shirt. It was a big gold locket that I made sure to keep on my person at all times. I have not separated from this since the day I put it on. It was my greatest treasure. I opened the locket and saw my wife. This was in the 1800s. The photo was in black and white, but that did not stop her from looking absolutely exquisite. She always took my breath away. Why could you not take me with you? My love. I thought out loud. I clicked it shut and tucked it safely behind my shirt. I set my eyes up on the night sky. It was cold, but not cold enough to snow. I was not in the supernatural realm anymore. I was in the human world. There has been a lot of controversy over the supernatural living in the human world. Some of the humans do not think we should interact with the mundane beings at all. They want us to be completely separate, whereas others prefer the human life. It's much more peaceful and safe to raise their young. Me, on the other hand, don't care at all. I don't get into that stuff. I already have enough problems of my own to worry about. I wonder what Iris is doing right now. I have been gone for 2 weeks so far. I could feel the ache in my heart from the distance. This mate connection we have is much more powerful than I anticipated. I thought it would slowly fade, but I guess I should have known better. I found myself thinking of her often. She is so delicate to me. She looked so small, but I liked it. She was innocent and pure. The opposite to me. She reminds me of the side of myself that might still have such a purity, a goodness. I sighed frustratingly. But I shouldn't think like that. After the curse is broken, I may have enough goodness inside of myself to let her go back to her pack and live her life without me. It would be better for her, but better for me as well. I can go on with my life, be whoever I wanted to be, live life with whoever I wanted. A clean slate. That is what I want the most. I close my eyes, but the blackness is immediately filled with images of my past lovers, my past wives, and my heart aches to see their faces knowing that I will never hold any of them ever again. but I some see past them and fall asleep. Chapter 30. Nyris, have you heard from him? I asked as I. No. If he comes back, then we will see him. If he doesn't, then we won't. Simple. I was back in the library, hoping to entertain myself with a good story. I had not allowed myself to think of him. They were passing thoughts, but I would quickly shut them down. However, though my mind had not thought of him, my heart on the other hand has ached ever since I knew he left. I thought it was because I was hurt by him, but I realized that it was because I wanted to see him. I didn't like that. I didn't like that I wanted someone like him. A damned man, a sick monster. And a part of me is disgusted with myself. How could I want someone like him? What does that say about me? He repels and draws me in simultaneously. It's so confusing. It made me afraid of myself. Did I know who I really was? I was raised in a good home, with a loving family and pack. How could this side of myself exist? A darkness has awakened inside of me when I found who my mate was, as if he has given some of his own darkness to me. Or has it always been there, waiting to have the chance to manifest itself to me? I didn't know. I don't know what to think of anything anymore. 2 weeks have passed. You haven't uttered a word about ours till now. As I stated, I had my hands on my braille book as I said. Well, you're very perceptive. It's not something hard to notice. I don't care about him. Have you ever thought of that? It's peaceful without him here. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I questioned, almost like he found it hard to believe. I frowned defensively, yes. Why is that surprising? I heard him smirk and nonchalantly shrug his shoulders. It's not. No need to get all defensive. It's fine if you feel like that. I coughed into my hand. Oh, and laid them back onto the page. Well, I just wanted to know if you've heard from him or not so that I can prepare myself for having no common peace in the house anymore. Right. He stood up. Well, be sure to let you know if I hear from him or not. I didn't say anything. I just let I leave and let him think whatever he thought concerning me and ours. It'll be easier if him along with everyone thought without ours. I shifted back into my human form and decided to walk. It was a nice scenery, so why not? So which are you going to see this time? I rolled my eyes. Didn't I rip your heart out? I yelled over my shoulder. Yes, you did. And I didn't like that, by the way. That's the whole point. DMOA. She appears in front of me and smiles. You've been away from home long enough. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Go back to your mate. I walk around her as I say. Not until I find a witch that will help me. She ends up floating in front of me as I walked. Help you with what? If I told you, you'd redesign the curse so that I can't break it. She laughs. No, silly boy. I can't. I can add people of any kind to the curse, but I cannot tweak it at all. It is an irrevocable curse. I stopped in my tracks and growled. If that is the case, then tell me how to break it. People tell the story that she has to love me despite the things I've done. DM or nods. Yes, that is true, as well as the ritual. I shook my head. No, there's more. More to the curse than you led on. It's been hundreds of years of punishment and suffering. DMOA. I kicked a fucking rose. Is this not enough for you? Are you not satisfied with the amount of suffering I endured? She stopped floating and slowly rested her feet to the ground. She looked at me, and though I saw evil in her eyes fell into a sad sea. I may not be a good witch, but I do not take pleasure on seeing you 3 suffer as much as you. I took a step forward, snarled. You are witch the cursed 3 little pups for picking one of your damn roses. I don't believe you. DM or A. You are nothing but soulless, heartless and empty shell. I saw tears build up in her eyes. I sometimes, through the years, have seen you 3 almost like sons to me, but I deserve your hate. You deserve every kind of pain that this world hasn't, I hope. No, I pray that you will get it tenfold. I shoved past her with my shoulder. I shifted into my wolf and run, hoping to kill something along with way. I wish she was crazy beautiful. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You have no idea how breathtaking she really was. It's insane. I heard Donnie said in a daze. She was the definition of what beauty was. It blew my mind. She was sweet, funny, smart, kind. She was the whole package. And she liked me. I mean, me. She could have all these other guys. But she chose me. It still blows my mind to this day. Donnie was telling me about this girl he fell in love with 75 years ago. He said that he could never ever love like that ever again. I liked hearing how much he loved her. It made me feel happy that he could love like that. He deserved it. So what happened then? Did you guys not get together? No, Donnie said, disappointed. I mean, we kind of did. But she was human. I spent for good years with her. But I knew I wouldn't age. And she deserved a life better than that. She deserved to be with someone she could spend the rest of her life with. So I got DM or A to erase her memory of me. I gasped. No way. Please tell me you didn't do that. I did. It was the only way. It would have been selfish of me to try and keep her. But a year later I found that she was married to some dude. I made sure he treated her right and that he truly loved her. Which he did. I would check up on her over the years. He always treated her like a queen. I didn't like that she was with someone else. But she was happy. I was happy that she was happy. My heart melted. Donnie was officially my favorite. When her husband died of old age, I was relieved. He laughed. She will be around 92 years old now. I visit her still. She's still beautiful to me. She doesn't remember me, but she would tell me about her dreams, believing that I was a worker at the old people's home. She dreams of how her and this boy fell in love, but she could never see who the boy was. I could hear the longing in his voice. It pained me to hear that he had lost the love of his life, but still was so happy and strong. I reached out my hand. Don't worry, Donnie, you will love again. I'm sure I will love again. But no one could ever take my Anna's place. I nodded my head. You're right. No one could take that place. Later on we were all seated at the dinner table, silently eating our meals. Ever since I got here, everyone has always eaten in silence. There was no talking about anything really. I was sick of it. I thought having Osgorn would bring some kind of peace into this castle. But no, it has only brought silence. Peace and silence are not the same. S.O.'s Ian. How was your day? Oh, it was good, I guess. Why is that? Almost like he thought it was strange for me to ask such a question at dinner time. I shrugged my shoulders. I just want to know if you had a good day or a bad day. Os AI. How about you? What did you do today? He clears his throat before saying. My brows raised in surprise. Studied. I didn't know you studied. Where do you study? I don't go to any school. I've been to enough high schools and colleges to last me a lifetime. I just like tea study. It's what I enjoy. He explains politely. Donnie chuckles slightly. Yup, ours he was a secret nerd. At least I'm not a man trapped in a little boy's body. Ozay claps back. S.O.Z. and snorts. I mean, it must suck to be not able to finish going through puberty. You're like half boy, half man. I mean, I bet your balls haven't even dropped yet. Right. Shut up. Donnie shouts. I heard a smack and S.O.Z. and yelling. Oh, what was that for? Ozay growls. Don't talk like that in front of. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Oh, S.O.'s Ian says with guilt. Sorry. Lil, he apologizes, but I just laughed and shook my head. I don't mind. How about after dinner, we have a family movie night? S.O.'s Ian suggested, and then I heard another smack at the back of S.O.'s Ian's head. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Will you stop it? Iris is friggin' blind. You inconsideratas. OSOs Ian says awkwardly. Sorry. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I forgot that. No, I would love watch a movie with you guys. I can still listen to it. Great. Because you can't see, you can pick the movie you think will be most interesting to listen to. I heard SO's Ian whisper to us I. See, it's fine. After we finished our meal, we gathered into one of the many lounges. But this one had a giant TV. I is told. We sat in comfortable chairs. I had blankets and pillows and food gathered around me, so I was pretty happy. I knew the guys wouldn't have liked the movie I picked, but it was a classic, and I think if they got over the Lottie stuff, they would actually like it. Halfway through the movie I had a tear falling down my eye as I listened to her say, Jack, I'm flying. Do you guys like it? I whispered to them. Says shut HH. All three of them hushed me. I held in a victorious laugh. They were all captivated by the story of the Titanic. I've heard it before, and it was always a favorite of mine. The ending where Rose was on the floating door and Jack was in the water. Donnie had no shame. He was a mess. That bitch. There was plenty of room for the both of them. What a selfish cow. He shouts at the screen. Realistically, Jack could have actually survived. I mean, they could have taken turns on the door at least. As I commented nonchalantly, but I knew he was into it. She should have been the one to die. She didn't deserve someone like Jack. SO's Ian hissed at the screen. So I'm guessing you guys like it? I asked with a knowing smile. Johnny hummed in thought. I mean, it was okay. If you like that sort of stuff. I wasn't too into it. SO's Ian scoffed. Too girly for my taste. Action is more my genre. I size. It's all right. I shook my head with a grin formed on my lips. I knew they secretly were into it, but they were too manly to admit that they actually liked the Titanic. The most iconic romance movie of all time. Chapter 14 Iris. I heard the boys laugh as we were eating our breakfast. It was so different to eating quietly as we once did a few weeks ago. I liked this way better. I was cutting my eggs on toast when Donnie asked, Hey, Lil, there's a market happening today. It's kinda like a festival. There will be music and food, all that kind of stuff. Do you want to go? Yes, oh my gosh, yes. I exclaimed in excitement. I rest my knife and fork on the table. I haven't been out of the castle in a while. It will be nice to go somewhere new. If you guys are going, you have to be careful. Or say I won't. Word had finally got out that Oz found his mate. We need to be cautious about where we go. Yeah, I know. I'll protect Iris. Don't worry, Donnie said. The castle was high up on the snowy mountain, where at the base, it was not as cold. I got ready and put on some fairly warm clothes. Donnie guided me out of the castle and we began our walk down the mountain. I liked hearing my footsteps crunch down on the white snow. I love snow. Donnie chuckles. Well, that makes one of us. I've been on top of that snowy castle long enough. I'm about ready to leave it and go live on a tropical island where no witches are allowed. I guess you're right. It would be annoying to live here for over 100 years. Maybe just a little. We were almost to the little village when I asked curiously. When I was younger, my Aunt Mia told me the story of the Hellhound legend, and her father told it to her. Is the story true? I mean, it is accurate, isn't it? Donnie did not answer straight away. He seemed hesitant to answer. It is not my place to say. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. But I will tell you this. Not all stories that people tell are true. What does that mean? If the story isn't true, then what was the real story? What actually happened? Questions invaded my mind, as well as my drive and curiosity motivate me to try and answer them. Ours is the oldest out of the three. Donnie told me. Maybe you should ask him when he gets back. If the story isn't entirely true, Does that mean what breaks the curse isn't true either? Is there a different way? I try to press. Donnie sighs. Stop. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Oz has told us to promise not to tell you anything. I can't break that promise. I respect Oz enough to not disobey him. I huff in annoyance. It wasn't fair. It's not like he really cares about me. Why would he care about me knowing anything? Donnie and I walked in silence. I didn't want to talk right now if he wasn't going to answer my questions. We walked for a while longer until my ears tingled from the sound of music up ahead. I was excited. The last time I was out of the castle was when I sneaked out with Donnie and Essozy in. That was a few weeks ago. So hearing the sound of people talking to each other, children laughing, the sound of music and the smell of different kinds of delicious foods was making me fidget with excitement. I grabbed onto Donnie's arm and tapped it over and over again. Come on, Donnie, come on. He laughs at how I was bursting with energy. I think he was excited too. He guided me well through the market and through the street filled with bustling people. I want to hear the music. Donnie, take me to the music. Donnie ushers me through the crowd until I began to hear the familiar sound of instruments playing and voices singing. We stood there and I was listening. My heart soared as I listened to the beautiful tune of the music. I flipped my hair over and began to tie it up in a tight ponytail. While doing this, I asked Donnie, "Are you a good dancer?" "Am I a good dancer?" He says sarcastically. "Of course I am. I am the best of the best." I laughed and nodded my head. "Good. Dance with me." "Wait, what?" he said hesitantly. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You're blind. My being blind has nothing to do with it. It just depends if you're a good dancer or not. I challenged him. I took his hand and pulled him over to the stone courtyard. Come on, Donnie. You're crazy, Iris. He laughs, but he complies. Donnie positions my hand over on his shoulder and he holds my other hand tightly in his. He wraps his hand around my waist and pulls me closer. You're ready? He asks. Yes. I was so excited. My body was buzzing to dance. Donnie actually was a really good dancer. He was on beat with the music. He pulled me all over the place, making me laugh and smile so hard. This is amazing. I felt so happy, so light. Donnie was amazing. I think I considered him one of my closest friends. These past couple of weeks have been one of the best, I think. As I and Sozen have been good to me, it was to the point where I wasn't scared of them anymore. They were my friends. I felt we were almost like our own little family. I loved it. As we kept on dancing, Donnie whispers in my ear, "The music is changing, and so is the dance. Are you okay with dancing with another partner?" I nodded confidently. "I'll be okay." "Okay. I'll keep an eye on you as we dance." My heart warmed at his concern. Soon the song began to change, and without stopping, Donnie twirled me away until someone else got a hold of me. I laughed at how fun this was, and what was even more cool was that I wasn't at all concerned about my blindness right now. However, that was short-lived when I felt my partner. Sparks had tingling over my body. My breath drew back from my body as my brain was trying to comprehend what was even happening. The strong hand guided me gracefully through the dance. My small hand was trying to find his, and when I couldn't, I breathlessly asked in a quiet voice, "Where are you?" A large and calloused hand touches mine and holds it tightly. I felt the heat of his face near mine as he huskily whispers, "Here I am." My eyes widen. Impossible. It couldn't be, could it? This mysterious dancer led me through the rhythm of the music, guiding me a smooth path along the courtyard. I reveled in this feeling, this electric feeling. We were so close together, our chests almost touching. His arm was secured around my waist safely. His face was right next to mine. I've never wanted to see more than I do right now. I needed to confirm this impossibility, but the music soon stopped and the crowd applauded for the band. The man gently withdrew his arms and hands from me. "Thank you for the dance," To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You dance beautifully, says the familiar voice. I reach my hand out. Wait, but he was already gone. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Donnie appeared beside me. Wasn't that fun? I've never wait. What's wrong? Nothing. It's just that I'm just. Did you see who I was dancing with? Yeah. It was just a random guy. He seemed nice enough, but I still was keeping an eye on him. My mind was trying to wrap around the situation, but I didn't understand anything. What I do understand is that what I felt is impossible. But then, it wasn't, because it happened. Come on. I'm hungry. Donnie took me to a bakery. He got me a croissant with a hot chocolate where he got a donut with a latte. We sat down and ate. But my mind was not with me. It was thinking about that dance. That man. That feeling. When is ours supposed to come back? I abruptly asked. Oh, Donnie was taken back by quercetin. He said he was supposed to be back in time for Ian's birthday next week. He was supposed to be back next week. Then how did? My mind was getting fatigued from trying to understand. I shook my head of the memory. I won't let it ruin my time here. Donnie, why don't you describe the village to me? Sure. Well, we are in the supernatural world after all, so things here are much more traditional, you could say. The houses are made mostly of wood. They have straight wooden designs on them, kinda-like French style. Lanterns are hung from house to light the streets. There are little cafes on pretty much every side of the road. There are flowers everywhere and bushes, decorating the streets. I smile. It sounds beautiful. I wish I could see it. Donnie and I finished up at the bakery and decided to head back. The sun was setting and we didn't want to walk back up the mountain when it was dark. I was holding Donnie's arm and he suddenly stopped, making me jerk slightly. He stood in silence, but I began to feel his body tense up. Donnie, I said quiet enough for only him to hear. Donnie, what's going on? He did not answer. He took my arm off his and pushes me behind him. I took hold of the clothing on his back. Something wasn't right. Well, if it isn't the hellhound puppy. How cute. You taking ours as mate out for a stroll, are you? Says a deep and hoarse voice. I gulped and gripped Donnie's back tighter. Leave. Donnie says in a voice I had not heard before. He was so carefree and boyish. But right now, he held an authority. He was serious and it scared me because that means this situation was not good. To my agent extraordinaire, mythical, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. When I tell you to run, you run as fast as you can to your right. He said without room for me to question. I won't kill you. If you leave us alone, Donnie said in a deeply and scarily calm voice. The creepy voice chuckles. You silly boy. There are many of us. Give us ours as mate and you won't be harmed. I heard Donnie step forward. I can't do that. She's under the protection of the hellhounds. If you take her then all hell will break loose. No, the only thing that will break is your skull. The voice threatened. Donnie yells at me. Run, Iris. I gasp as I run to my right. Straight down a street. I heard Donnie's voice shouting, turning into an animalistic roar. He had shifted. I held my hands in front of me as I sprinted as fast as my legs would let me. Fear had struck. I was so scared. I was blind and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to contact I or Ian. I kept running and running, bumping into people and not having time to apologize. I felt a hard impact as I bounced off of the wall and fell to the ground. I winced as my back hit the ground. A deep chuckle that terrified me echoed out in the street. You must be ours, mate. How lovely. I whimpered in fear as I tried to back away, but a hand clasped over my throat. My eye widened in fear. Donnie. But the hand tightened, closing my voice. I gripped the hand and tried to get it off. But it was so strong. It lifted me off the ground. I scratched and clawed at his arm. desperate for air. My mind began to become hazy as the oxygen left my body. Soon I felt myself being thrown into the air. The nervous sensation all over my body soon stopped as everything went black. A throbbing pain was consistently pulsing at the back of my head when I woke up. I opened my eyes slowly to adjust to the light. I sat up, but instantly winced from the pain. My whole body was sore and weak. From the smell, I knew I was in my room back at the castle. I gently placed my feet on the ground and stood up. But my legs were weak. I groaned and leaned against the wall. I took deep breaths. I wanted answers about what happened. I cautiously made my way out of my room. I held onto the wall to support my sluggish body. While walking down the hall, I was trying to find Donnie's room. Every step I took felt like I had run for miles. I was tired. My head was going to explode and I felt sick. I followed his scent as I approached his room. Finally. However, before I even went in, I heard shouting inside. I was too weak to stand. I let myself sag to the floor and listened to what was going on inside. I gave direct orders to not let Iris out of this castle. Why would you disobey me? A voice shouted. Everything inside of me stilled as I recognized that voice. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He's here. Why would he come back? Donnie quickly apologized. I thought it would be safe since there was a crowd around. You fucking idiotic pup. You put my mate in danger. Look at her. She's been unconscious for a week. That is your fault. I wouldn't have purposely put her in danger. Donnie shouts back. Well, you did. I was in the middle of something important. Something that will help me with this curse. But I found that my mate had been attacked. If I come back in the next 3 days knowing that anything else happened to my mate, I will wring your bloody neck. Oz growls. A wave of pain had invaded my head. I moaned, which caused there to be silence inside. Footsteps quickly came toward the door until I heard it bend completely. I should have felt alarmed, but my body felt too terrible to even care. Shit. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Donnie said in concern. Oz growled. Watch your language around her. What? You swear all the time. Us ignores Donnie. I felt arms dig under my body and gently lift me up. I knew who it was. The feeling of him touching me eased my pain. I lastly wrapped my arms around his neck and leaned my head on his shoulder as he carried me. See yours, I said weakly. Assisja. Don't speak. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. You need to rest. I found myself relaxing in his arms. It was to the point where I felt like I was about to fall asleep. My body was laid on my bed and the blankets were pulled over me. I heard him turn on his heels and walk away. Wait, I said with all my strength. My breaths had become short. Why Cici Esha, you are safe. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Now rest. I heard him whisper to me. I felt something being pressed on my forehead before it left, leaving me alone. Did ours just kiss my forehead? I couldn't even comprehend what just happened before I began to feel my mind slipping into oblivion. Chapter 15. Through the blur. I could see that the room had a slight bit of light in it. I went to sit up, but Hans gently pushed me back down. Whoa there. You are not going anywhere. You have to rest, Donnie said firmly. I groaned and laid back down, but head was still sore, but not as bad as it was before. I rubbed my forehead and said in a croak-y voice, How long have I been out? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Donnie hummed nervously. You were first out for a week, but then you fell back into a little coma. So how long have I been out till now? When you fell back to sleep, you didn't wake for 2 days. Whoa, I said, a little shocked. I didn't know it was this bad. What happened? Donnie took a hold of my hand and said, I'm so sorry, Lil. I shouldn't have taken you out so casually. I should have been more cautious. No, it's just. CCS sure. It's fine, Donnie. I tried to comfort him. No, it's not. You almost died. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. My brows pulled together. What? Was I that badly hurt? Yes, you were, he exclaimed. I found you smashed through a window, lying on the floor of a store. Blood was seeping out of your head. Your skull was fractured. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I thought you had died. Wait, is that why ours came? Donnie sighs loudly. Yes, it is. Your injury was so bad that even he could feel it from halfway across the world. I gulped well. I didn't know how bad it was. Well, will I be okay? Yeah. I got his eye to fix your head up. He says you'll just have an ache for you till it fully heals. I nodded my head. That's good then. Donnie. His voice sounding tired from his outburst. Who were the men that attacked us? They're scum. That's what they are. He says in a dark and hate-filled voice. Look, Iris, I need to tell you some things first. You have never been to the supernatural world. Am I right? Yeah. I mean, I've heard stories about it, but I never thought it was real. Well, the world we live, the origin of all things supernatural, is called Arcanas. It is our own Pandora's box, I guess. And in this world, there are a lot of darkness, some that you have never seen or heard of in the human world. The hellhounds are famous throughout all of Arcanas. Everyone knows them as the damned wolves, the cursed wolves. But everyone knows that they are extremely powerful and immortal. Around 100 years ago, a rumor had broken out that if you somehow could have a taste of their blood, you too will become immortal. People had tried to get it, but it was easy for the hellhounds to just kill them. Until you. My brows raised in surprise. Me, yes. You see, ours has never had a weakness before. He has never had to worry about anyone. Until you. The word that ours had a mate is spreading rapidly throughout Arcanas. Enemies will fight their hardest to get to you, to use you to get Ars's power. I gulped nervously. But he doesn't care for me. He wouldn't care if I lived or died. Donnie chuckles. I don't know about that. Bill said those men. They want Ars's power. Yes, they are called the Wraiths. They're pests, like demons who meddle in the shadow. I hear him move slightly in his chair and wince. Wait, Donnie, I said with a concerned and troubled voice. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? I'm all right, Lil. Nothing I can't handle. I reach my hand out and feel that his whole mid-section was completely wrapped up. My eyes widen. Donnie, you're badly hurt. Donnie takes my hand off his ribboned wrist, sit on my lap. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I'm okay. More than one of them came at me. But like I said, it's nothing I can't handle. So don't worry about it. I bow my head towards my lap. I felt bad for being the cause of Donnie getting hurt. I'm sorry. Donnie, you're hurt because of me. No, I'm not Iris. I'm hurt because I'm stupid. Let's end it there. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. All I want you to worry about is getting some rest. I didn't argue with him this time. Thank you, Donnie, for saving me, I said sincerely. He takes my hand and squeezes it. No worries. Lil, I die for you. He gently lets my hand go. I tucked back into my bed and fall asleep to the sound of the door clicking shut. I was finally allowed out of bed the next day. However, I wasn't allowed to walk around for long. Donnie was busy decorating the place. Thursday, I was on babysitting duty. Apparently ours has ordered for me to never be alone, except for my room. It was annoying and I didn't want to be a nuisance to the guys. But today I didn't seem to mind. I was sitting on the couch reading a book in his AI study room. From the smell of it. It's now told. There are probably hundreds of old books and papers that his AI has read and written. He is a couple of 100 years old after all. I was reading for a while on Wuthering Heights. It was a very intense love story where God had tested their love to see if they would come back each other. I suddenly thought of my own love. You could say I loved him, I guess. I mean, he was the first boy I really liked. We were together for a long time. I smiled at the memories we had. He was a funny guy and he knew me so well. But he couldn't handle me being blind. I felt my eyes sting slightly at how hurt and devastated I was, as I was currently sitting at his desk studying something about the moon. What a wolfish thing to study. I laid the book down on my lap and released a very big sigh. I was anxious. Ours was arriving today. I don't know what will happen when I see him. I gulped and began to play with the ends of my hair. Are you all right? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Osei asks. I leaned my head against the couch and silently shook my head. What's wrong? Is your head hurting? I shook my head again. Do you want to discuss it? I lifted my head and said. I don't want to say because I don't want to seem pathetic. You are not pathetic. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Osei called me firmly. I won't judge, he said comfortingly. I took a deep breath. I'm nervous. I confessed. I hear his chair squeak as it turns in my direction. Nervous about seeing. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He realizes. I nodded my head. I shouldn't be, but I do. I just don't want to be hurt. I had Osei with his chair over in front of me. I nervously sit there, waiting for him to respond. However, his response surprises me. You do not have to meet him. If you don't want to. It may seem like it, but you do have a choice, Iris. If you do not feel up to it, I myself will turn Oz away for you. My heart moved at how kind Osei was. He was willing to stand up to Oz so that I may find some peace. I shook my head. Thank you. Osei, But now, I will have to meet him at some point. I might as well get it over with. If that is what you wish, as I hear his eye wheel away. So S.O.'s Ian's party is tonight. There's no theme. Osei chuckles. There's always a theme with S.O.'s Ian. He wants to act like rich billionaire. So he chose the theme of Gatsby. My brows raised as I wasn't understanding. Gatsby. What is that? 1920s style. So like, flapper girls and all. Yup, interesting. I hoped that tonight was true. It is a full moon. Maybe I will be able to see. I desperately wanted to see again. Having that taste last month of sight has only driven my hunger for it to go wild. I wanted to have fun tonight. I wanted to dress and look pretty. I have not seen my reflection in years. What do I look like? Darn it, you need any help? I asked as I heard him grunting up on what I'm assuming is the ladder. No, that's okay, Lil. Why don't you go outside for a bit and get some fresh air? It might make you feel a little better. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He says, passing me something. Take my coat. I took it and put it on. I made my way out of the castle. I was careful not to slip or anything. I breathed in cold and fresh air. He was right. I do feel better. Being outside felt good. I liked feeling the cold as long as my body was warm. If that made sense. I was still nervous about tonight, but not as much before. I made a decision to protect my heart against ours. I will not let him affect me or let him in. That way, I won't get hurt. However, if he is willing, then I am willing to be civil. I was outside for about an hour, but my head began to ache a little bit, so I decided to head back inside. But before it did, I closed my eyes and took another deep inhale of the winter air. As I exhaled loudly, I opened my eyes. My whole body stilled. I did not blink just in case this wasn't real. I blinked once, and it didn't change. I blinked twice and it still didn't change. I can see, I said, shocked. I looked around, saw I was in the middle of the courtyard in the garden. Oh my goodness. I can see. But I was confused. It was still daytime. It was only around 4 o'clock. I looked up at the sky. It was clear and I could see the moon had already decided to greet us. Oh my gosh. So as long as the moon in the sky, I can see. I screamed in joy. I couldn't believe that I could see. This is amazing. I laughed at myself. I was so happy. I heard footsteps running out. To my agent extraordinaire, Mythical Noben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I heard you scream. Are you okay? I turned around with a bright smile, and for the first I got to see Donnie. He was actually really good looking. He was tall, 6'2". I screamed in joy and ran for him. He tilted his head, confused as to why I was acting insane. I jumped into his arms and yelled, I can see you. I can see you. Donnie. His arms caught me around my waist. He puts me down on the ground and quickly looks at me in shock. You can see, he exclaimed. Are you sure? I roll my eyes. Yes, Donnie. He laughs and picks me up off the ground, then whirled me around everywhere. You can see. He shouts in joy. I laughed and wrapped my arms around his neck. He took my inside, excited for me to see everything. Last time, I didn't have enough time to see around the castle, but this time I had hours. I was so happy. Donnie had to go finish up the decorations, but I was allowed to wander the castle a bit. It was absolutely amazing. The ceilings were unimaginably high with arches decorating it. Everything was extremely detailed. Roaring fires lit on each of the halls as lamps. There were giant and beautiful staircases that seemed to keep going up. But it was strange. Though everything was beautiful, the castle seemed so lifeless, almost like a darkness hovering in the air. It was sad. Ours still hasn't arrived. I started to question if he even was going to show up. I went to see my room and my eye widened. It was amazing. It's funny to think I've stayed here for a month and a half and I never knew what kind of room I was staying in. The room was shaped in a giant octagon. The ceiling was high up with a beautiful crystal chandelier hanging down gracefully. My giant double bed was up against the wall with a beautiful silver canopy hanging around it. The covers were silver. It had a shining pattern over, almost looking like snowflakes. Right across from the door to the other wall was 3 giant windows that went all the way to the top. Silver curtains draped on the side with crystal designs on them. The middle window had 2 doors that led to the balcony. Couches were set in its own little living area. Another door was right across from the bed, which was the bathroom. My room was a dream. And then I saw the mirror. I almost didn't want to look into it. I didn't want to see what it showed. Then another part of me wanted to. I wanted to see what ours sees. I was nervous as I took steps toward it. I closed my eyes and stood in front of it. I took a deep breath and then I opened them. I couldn't form words. It was so weird seeing myself for the first time in 14 years. It was like an out-of-body experience. Like I was a third person seeing this girl in front of me. She had very long and blonde hair that was so pale. Her big eyes were a bright and pale blue. They seemed almost transparent. She was very small. Her skin seemed pale, but it had a slight, an undertone which gave it a beautiful glowing color. Tears had built in my eyes. She was beautiful. I was so nervous to see into the mirror. I was afraid of it. But seeing it now, I wasn't too scared anymore. I knew that how I felt wasn't in an arrogant way. I wasn't trying to think I was the most beautiful in all the land. I was just accepting myself and seeing perfections as well imperfections. Ian had told me that one of the maids had brought a costume for me. I opened my clothes to see a beautiful baby blue flapper girl dress, completely covered in diamonds. There were gloves and also a headpiece waiting to be worn. I took a nervous step forward and put it on. Chapter 16. I gulped as I looked at myself in the mirror. I had a smoky eye with a little bit of blush and red lipstick. I took a deep breath. I could already hear the party was in full swing. The music was booming across the whole castle. I was nervous. I've never been to such a big event before. My parents would never let me go. Except for this one time Leo. Finn and Noah had snuck me out when we were around 17. We had driven away and went to the beach at 1 in the morning. That was the first time I tasted alcohol. I had accidentally gotten drunk since I was such a lightweight. The boys got a big telling off. By my uncle. The Alpha. Who is also Leo's father. Sucks for him. I made sure I was completely ready before going out. I checked over my outfit. It was cute. It fit me like a glove. My headpiece was a soft band decorated by diamonds and beads. The side of my head had a beautiful diamond-encrusted crest with white feathers softly spilling out of it. I'm ready. I stepped out of my room and walked down the hallway. I stopped at the top of the stairs to see 2 double doors at the end of the hall. It was Oz's room. He still had not come. I don't think he is. I went down the stairs and my eyes widened at what was in front of me. It was glorious. Colorful lights were flashing everywhere. There were performers on the roof, doing artistic movements while holding sheets of material, wrapping their bodies around it. Down below, people were everywhere, all wearing the most fancy suits and the most expensive dresses. I suddenly felt inadequate when I saw so many beautiful girls wearing such beautiful dresses. There were more performers wearing giant and colorful feathers, dancing up on little pedestals. Giant balloons were hung up, floating everywhere. Floating lights were hovering over everyone, illuminating their beautiful attire. There were also giant, but then trees everywhere with white fairy lights. Everything was extraordinary. I suppose Ian really did go all out for his birthday. I was nervous because I didn't know anyone here. Who knew that Esso's Ian had so many friends? I finally got to the bottom of the stairs. I pushed my way through the crowd till I found myself at the built-in bar. Ozzy, I was sitting there, sipping his drink. I was relieved to see a familiar face. I approached him and his eyes widened slightly at the sight of me. I smiled shyly at him. Hey, Ozzy. He nods towards me and offers his usual polite grin. Is it always like this on his birthday? I asked as I over the music. He nods his head, yes. His birthday is always the party of the year. How does he know so many people? He shook his head. He doesn't know most of them. Some of them he does. All is invited to Esso's Ian's parties. Wow, I never knew such events existed. I leaned toward his AI and asked, which one is Esso's Ian? I have not seen him yet. Oz eye points to one of the pedestals that elevated. He has danced himself with a drink in hand. I laughed. He's just how I pictured him. He was definitely uncommonly good looking. I'm sure many women would swoon. But me, he's still just Esso's Ian. He had sandy blonde hair. His sides were very short, where the top of his hair was very long. It was styled into a mohawk. He had high cheekbones and horns and tan skin with a piercing in his brow and lip, as one earring in his left ear. He looked like the ultimate bad boy. His eyes locked with mine and his smile widened. He pointed to me and began to sing. I felt my cheeks blush and I looked away grinning. Esso's Ian danced through the crowd and came to give me a giant hug. I'm so glad you're here. To my agent extraordinaire, Mylen Noban, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I laughed and hugged him back. Yeah. Well, I couldn't miss your birthday, I said while looking at him. I noticed that his eyes was a glowing yellow color. Interesting. He started to look at me funny. His brows pulled together as he said, Whoa, your eyes are like right on mine. It's because I can see. Esso's Ian's eyes widened and his mouth fell open in shock. Holy shit. You can see. He shouts in joy. Esso's Ian. Language. I growled. Esso's Ian ignored him and picked me up off the ground and whirled me around just as Donnie did. My little iris can see. He shouts out to the crowd, but the music was so loud that no one could even hear. I laughed and patted his shoulder. He puts me down and beams down at me. I'm happy you get to experience this. Happy birthday. Esso's Ian. Esso's Ian goes off into the crowd and dances. Someone taps me on the shoulder. I turn around and soars AI. He motions for me to come closer. There are a lot of randoms here. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. So stick close to one of us. People won't question you if you're with one of us. I nodded my head in understanding. But, he continues, if anyone asked, say that your name is Freya and your SO is Ian's cousin. But he's hundreds of years old. How would I be his cousin? As I waves his hand dismissing lie. That doesn't matter. People will be too drunk to notice. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Donnie comes out of the crowd with a big smile. But it even got bigger when he saw me. Come and dance with me, Lil. I ran toward Donnie nervously. He grabs my hand and guides me through the dotties until we find a space. We both danced and laughed with each other. I leaned and said, by the way, my name is Freya. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He looks at me confused and I laughed. Code name. He smiles and nods. He twirled me around and turned to grip onto his shoulders. I was getting tired and as fun as this is. I need a break. I told Donnie that I was going to go and he was good with it. I pushed my way through the crowd and wanted to go up the stairs. At the top, there were a section where fancy tables were set, overlooking the whole dancing crowd. It was beautifully set up. As I climbed up the stairs, there was another staircase on the other side of the room that led to the same place. People were on it and were chatting and mingling. However, behind the talking crowd of people, there was shadow. My pace going up the stairs slowed down as I stared. If I looked hard enough, in the shadow, someone was standing. They turned their head, and there it was. In the darkness was a glowing set of bright green eyes that were staring right at me. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He was here. I quickly ran up the stairs, wanting to get away. I wasn't ready to see him just yet. People were sitting on random table everywhere. I stood next to a Japanese painting and pretended to be interested in so that people wouldn't disturb me. However, that was not the case. Beautiful, isn't it? A soft voice asked. I glanced to right and was shocked to see a very beautiful Japanese woman. Her hair was jet black and almost as long as her body. Her face had beautifully white skin. Her lips were red as blood and the perfect heart shape. Her almond eyes were big and beautiful. I looked down her clothes and saw she did listen to the dress code. She had a very long and very detailed red kimono that left a long trail. It drooped over her shoulders, revealing a very feminine and long neck. She turns to me and smiles gently. Hello, my name is Yutsugsushi, but you may call me Kushi. I gulped. My name is my name is Freya. She bows her head. It is very nice to meet you. I bowed my head back as we both turned back to the painting. I love art. She told me. It has a way of capturing one's emotions, doesn't it? It does. I agree. What do you think this painting is about? Kushi smiles, but did not reach her eyes. Her eyes were sad. It is a story about friendship. My brows raised in curiosity. Why would you think that? She looks at me softly, giggles into her hand that was covering her mouth. Because I painted it. I created this piece over 2,000 years. My mind is finding it hard to grasp how many years this woman was alive and yet she looked better than me. Is it normal for the people of Abayakanas to live so long? She laughs again and shakes her head. No. Only those who are exceptionally special live such long lives. I tiled my head. If it is not too rude of me to ask. But I didn't know how to word it. What am I? She finishes my sentence with a friendly smile. I laugh awkwardly and nodded. She answers, I am the goddess of water. I thought my mind was going to explode right then and there. Why, you're a G goddess, I said in shock. She laughs into her hands politely. Do not be so shocked. Why would you come to a place like this if you are a goddess? She looks back to the painting. I like being with the mortals. They remind that the simple things are important. A simple meeting. A simple conversation. It's so simple, she said in thought, but it holds such value. Just like you and me. She turns to me and her eyes soften. That is why I painted this. Friendship is such a simple word, but it holds so much. She leans in and says in her soft voice, "Thank you. You see, I am one girl in this painting, and the other girl was my friend. She had died a long time ago, but you have reminded me of what it felt like to have a friend again. Thank you for giving me that." She bows low to me, then turns and leaves. I was left in shock. She was so incredibly soft and kind. I just made friends with the goddess. Well, this night has become very interesting. I went toward the inside balcony to look at the crowd dancing to the music. Although I was still sitting at the bar. Donnie was going crazy on the dance floor, and so is Ian trying to climb the sheets hanging from the roof that the performers are using. I needed some fresh air. I went to a random balcony that overlooked the snowy forest. It looked so beautiful. The pine trees had snow dusted upon them, with icicles hanging on some of the branches. The snow and ice sparkled under the moonlight. I looked up at the moon. It was so incredibly beautiful and bright. I filled me with an otherworldly energy that I couldn't explain. "Are you not cold?" A dark and low voice came of the darkness behind me. I looked over my shoulder and saw Oz, standing there watching me. My heart beat against my chest. My body filled with nervous energy. "No," I said softly. He comes to stand next to me. He has his hands behind his back holding a random book and says, "So the moon does make you see again." I did not say anything, and I did not look at him. At least I tried not to. He was made. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He was designed for me to be attracted to him. And let me tell you, he was gorgeous. You were gone for a while. I stated quietly as I kept staring at the garden. "Yes, I was," he replies. I placed my hands on the balcony rails and asked, "Did you find what you were looking for?" Oz stood up straight and he too was looking at the gardens. He slowly and lowly answered, "No," trying to cover up his disappointment. We stood in silence, both of us looking at the gardens and the moon. "How was your head?" he asks me. I was surprised that he wanted to know. I didn't think my being wounded would be any of his concern. I felt the back of my head and it still had a bump and a few stitches in. It's healing which is all that matters. You are very small. You will probably heal slower than most. I glare at him. "Do you think I am weak?" "You are weak physically." He turns and faces me. "But I do not think you are weak." Up here, tapping my forehead. Sick of walking around eggshells. "Why are you here?" To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. "I've come home," he says sarcastically. I shook my head. "No, I mean why on this balcony?" He turns away from me and looks up at the moon. He slightly tilts his head and says, "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Curious of me. Why would you? "You hate me," I said in a hard voice. "I don't hate you." To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Milburn, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. "But I don't particularly like you either." I roll my eyes. "That makes everything so much better." I mumble to myself. I look up, and for the first time ever I heard him release a small chuckle that not trace of darkness or maliciousness in it. I stared at him as I watched his face transform into something I was afraid of, into something I wanted to see more of. Donnie had told me something interesting. I told him. And what did the little bastard say this time? I turned my body toward Oz as I said, "Your story that my aunt had told me when I was a little girl. It wasn't true." Danny wouldn't tell me the real story. So, the little bastard does know how to keep a secret. What is the real story? I asked seriously. Oz looks at me and says, "No, family. Why not?" Confused as to why I couldn't know. If the legend is a lie, don't you think I need to know the real story, considering I am your supposed key to breaking the curse? Oz's face did not change as well as his decision. No, he said firmly again. Okay. This was getting annoying. I was about to open my mouth to yell, but then Oz said, "I will tell you, but just now." I asked impatiently. Sometime in the future. I cross my arms and huff in annoyance as I turn away from him. They are keeping secrets, and I intend on finding out what.